Welcome to the channel. My name is Matthias. Today we're going to talk about the conclusion of the 12 crossover. This was a story that I was so let down. Marvel was building it up for about, I guess, maybe 15 years. It was going to be the definitive Apocalypse versus X-Men story. But boy, did Marvel really miss the mark on this one, even though it did have some good moments and some cool tie-ins. So we're going to cover Uncanny X-Men issues 376 and 377 and X-Men issue 97. Now, what I really liked about the story was the part where Apocalypse converted Wolverine into the Horseman of Death. And he also had gotten back his adamantium claws that Marvel took its time for him to get them back. So that felt like a big deal. And this also tied into a one-shot that we got in the early 90s. When Wolverine had a tussle with Apocalypse in Savage Land, we discovered that Apocalypse was interested in adamantium and he had a adamantium skull in his possession. So the first issue actually starts off with the return of the living Monolith. We actually discovered that Bishop and Deathbird had found him floating in space. Now, during that time, Deathbird and Bishop had like a relationship. They were a thing, but she betrays him. And we discovered in these issues that she had forged a secret alliance with Apocalypse and she would become the Horseman War. And we get this really weird alliance that this part sort of doesn't work for me in the story between Apocalypse, the living Monolith and his followers, and the Skrull Empire that, at least for me, back in the day, I thought the Skrulls were super lame. I do have to commend Brian Michael Bendis. He made Skrulls into really interesting characters, at least for me, when he did his new Avengers run that built up to the Secret Empire. And another thing that's part of the story, again, it just feels so weird, is that we have a group of Skrulls that are mutants and obviously they're alienated by their society and they're going to be rescued by the X-Men. And then after this story, Xavier is going to be part of this squad of Skrulls that are mutants called the K-Skrulls. And this is going to be part of one of Marvel's worst crossovers ever, Maximum Security. So what happens is, the living Monolith, he's reawakened, and we discover that he's actually a creation of Apocalypse. Monolith is not aware of this. Apocalypse has him totally under his control, and since Havoc is in the Mutant X universe, the living Monolith can use his powers. So what happens is, since they know something's afoot with Apocalypse because they have Destiny's Diaries, the whole situation with the Skrulls, Wolverine has become the Horseman of Death, they obviously all go to confront Insalanur on his home turf. They do him an immense favor because he was hunting down the 12 and the missing members of the 12 that he had not captured are with the X-Men now. So what happens is, we have Apocalypse's forces battling the X-Men. Somehow, Bishop returns to the main Marvel universe because he was in a different reality, just like Havoc. And what happens is, Apocalypse's forces are able to capture the members of the 12 one by one. Now again, the whole situation with Apocalypse and the 12 felt like a big idea. It was first hinted in the end of the first era of X-Factor, when Apocalypse had kidnapped Nathan Summers when he was like a little baby and he was on the blue side of the moon, and we had X-Factor teaming up with the Inhumans. And here we get the revelation that the 12 are just basically fuel to this celestial machine. And this machine is going to allow Apocalypse to take a new host body, the ultimate host body. That since Nathan Summers, who was Cable, his body was corrupted by the techno-organic virus, Insalanur actually had found a better replacement with X-Man, who came from the Age of Apocalypse. So what happens, the living Monolith, who is like the conduit to all this energy, he just can't take it anymore. He breaks free. He starts destroying everything, but Apocalypse has already started his transference of consciousness into X-Men. We get a showdown between the X-Men and the Four Horsemen, which is a total letdown. They were building up these characters so much during the story, and then in 2 panels, Colossus' brother Rasputin just teleports them away. You had Deathbeard as War, Caliban as Plague, and it was also the first appearance of Ahab in the modern Marvel Universe. You got to see these guys as horsemen only on a couple of panels, and that's it. So what happens is, as an act of desperation, Cyclops tries to stop what was going down with Apocalypse and X-Men. He jumps in the middle, literally, and what happens is, instead of taking X-Men as his host, he takes Cyclops. So what happens is, Cyclops isn't a perfect host for Apocalypse. We actually get the birth of Cyclopalypse. That was hard to say. This will lead into the Ages of Apocalypse, a series of one-shots that they were okay. But the thing is that after this crossover, Cyclops or Cyclopalypse is going to be missing in action. We're going to get a separate miniseries where Cable and Phoenix are going to try to hunt him down and save Scott Summers. And Salinor is going to leave a mark in Cyclops and Scott Summers that after this, he's not going to be that Boy Scout that he was always shown to be. Like, as a character, he's going to change a little bit. And that aspect, that part's sort of cool. But we're going to leave this video here. I hope you guys liked it. See you guys next time. Bye.